Entrepreneurs, startups, pay attention because the EU finally has a EU Startup Nation Standards of Excellence. What this declaration means for you, what you should pay attention to, let's talk about this in this video coming up now. Hi, I'm Oliver and welcome back to the channel AskMeStartup, where we talk about startups, small businesses, and the world that surrounds them. If you're new here, please consider subscribing, pushing the notification bell, because it really helps this channel to grow. If you're into startups, if you have a small business, if you plan to start a business, please feel free to download my free startup checklist, link in the description below. So today, I want to talk to you about something I found when I was trying to do a research update on Portugal, the Netherlands, and other European countries. And I found that the EU has a declaration on the EU Startups Nation Standards of Excellence. That is very important because it is a framework many nations have signed, and it helps nations to standardize and define how they should structure their legal framework in order to become attractive for startups. This declaration has one purpose and one purpose only. It wants to foster EU sovereignty on technology for the future, and it wants to create jobs within Europe. And in order to do so, you have to be good, otherwise people are not going to go to your country, or they will not stay in European countries. As an example, I was stumbling across this for one reason. Portugal, which I think is a very interesting country. Many people like it. If you want to have a view on Portugal, click the video up here. But the main point was they have a terrible tax system. And I started doing some research, like, are there some updates? Are they aware of some updates? And here we are, the declaration. Now, this declaration has 8 points, and I want to talk to you about them. So let's start with point number 1, fast startup creation and smooth market entry. That sounds obvious, right? If you want to start a business, you should not have any burden or hurdles in front of you. Many countries are not like this. But the main point of this declaration is that it shouldn't cost you more than 100 euros to found your company. Full stop. It should be easy, straightforward, and it should be most likely digital. That's what you should be aiming for. That's what the country should aim for. Hence, this is what you should pay attention for, because if they are not there yet, you know exactly that the other parts are not easy as well. Point number 2, attracting and retaining talent. Now, this is where the visa schemes become important, because EU finally has gotten to realize that they cannot exclude third country citizens from their startup scenes. Very often, these are very crucial and essential to start their technology startup in Europe. Hence, they have given a clear recommendation on how to obtain and retain those talents and how to obtain the visas. And they specifically mention third country citizens. This is very important for everyone trying to look where this has already been implemented. By the way, if you're looking for the link of this website, I will link it down below for you to click. It is there. You can see also the nations that are integrated already. Take a look. Point number 3, stock options. Now, stock options might not seem obvious at the beginning, but most of the countries currently tax them for no obvious reason, right? I mean, if your startup is new, your stock options are worthless. They might have a book value of, I don't know, $1 billion, €1 billion, doesn't matter. But reality is you can't sell them. They're worthless because who's going to buy them from you? It's not like you have had an IPO and then can sell it to anybody to the free market. No. And that causes a lot of pain, because let's say your valuation goes from 1 million to 10 million to 100 million to 1 billion. The problem is your tax rates go like skyrocket, but you still earn only, let's say, 60,000 euros a year. So you're having problems here. That's what the country should pay attention to, not to tax something that isn't taxable as the startup is trying to grow. The next point is really important, and it's called innovation and regulation. It's so obvious, but it is true. We have to take the burden of administrative tasks from the startups. This shouldn't be a problem for the countries. They should just stay back and help those startups to grow, because at the beginning, you have no time to deal with the government. You want to make sure your idea works. You want to start the business as fast and smooth as possible. And if you can't do that because you have to deal with bureaucracy, it kills you. I think this is one of the most important things countries can do these days. And some countries actually have implemented a lot of these best practices. Innovation in procurement. Countries, startup nations should be encouraged to buy new technologies from startups, in this way helping them to grow and making their products become real life use. This is very, very important. Also, IP shouldn't be a problem here. They want the countries to set up the rules in a way that the startups can use any publicly available technology very easily, but then can still incorporate their own IP on stuff that they have come up and adopted. This is really, really important, because if you don't have IP, you don't have any value. If you have IP that has no value, no commercial value, and if you're not quite sure about the difference, I'll link a video up here, you have a problem because you spend money, but it's worth nothing. Number 6, access to finance. This is, of course, very, very, very crucial, because financing a startup is hard. It has always been hard, but it remains harder, or will become harder in the future. Why? Well, more competition on one side, a lot of crap out there on second, but also private equity firms, private VC companies. I'm not sure if they're really doing the stuff in the interest of society, but rather in the interest of just gaining more capital themselves. Do those two correlate? Sometimes. But as you've seen, many companies have been overvalued and now are worthless. So if you want to foster a business that is working on sustainability, on social and governmental responsibility, maybe a VC isn't the right thing. That's why you need finance access, like France is doing it, for instance. You can look the video up here. In order to foster technologies that are more important for the human society in the future, but maybe currently do not pay off in a short term, where usually VC capitals are looking for. Number 7, social inclusion, diversity, and protecting democratic values. Now, this is, I think, the cornerstone of everything. We want to come and stay the number 1 startup hub, but also for the humankind. If you look into countries like the US, where currently the, let's say, social inclusion is kind of at risk right now, or if you look at countries like China and Russia, where this is not even a debatable topic, you have to understand why this is important, because it actually fosters diversity, and diversity by itself is the biggest guarantor for growth and fresh new ideas ever. There has been so much research done on startups, and for instance, I'm going to give you an example. If you have a female founder, she's more likely to be successful than male founders. Crazy, isn't it? Women are much more likely to obtain a sustainable income, a sustainable startup growth, than men. Think about that. And last but not least, the obvious: digital first. Everything the country has to do has to foster a digital first approach, because that is going to be the future. I mean, people talking about Web3 right now, I'm not quite sure if that really is the big hype, or if just some VC companies are trying to get another $1 trillion income in the future. But reality is, digitalization is key, and we're going to live in an even more interconnected world in the future. Hence, anything and everything you do has to deal with this problem. All right, everybody. I hope that your insight into this declaration was helpful, and it hopefully triggers some thought process in you and what you should be paying attention to if you choose a country to start your business. If you want to take a look into the declaration yourself in detail, there's a link in the description below where you can see the nations that have signed that declaration. Mind you, it's not quite obvious. There are some flags that are grayish and some flags that are colorful. Those that are in color, of course, are the ones that have signed the declaration. All right, if you have a comment, just drop it down below. If you made it so far in the video, please subscribe. Thank you for your attention, and I'm gonna see you next time.